In this short stoma sighting demonstration film, we're going to be looking at the key components of assessing a person's abdomen prior to sighting them, to discern places that we absolutely want to avoid sighting the stoma and finding the optimum position for them. So to start with, Felix, my volunteer for today, could you lift your t-shirt up to expose your abdomen, please? So the first thing you would do on sighting is actually to look at the patient's abdomen. And you would look at this first from the foot of the bed, and we're looking to see if there's any hernias, any bulges, any scar tissue that we can see here. And then we'd come again to the side and we'd look at the abdomen. So this is beginning to give us an idea of how we're going to sight. So the first thing we need to do is discern where the ribs are, because actually we do not want to sight too high and cause a problem with the appliance not fitting. Now, Terry's top tip, I like to use tape. And I've got tape here, ready prepared at the end of the trolley. And I like to use tape to mark my boundaries. So, rib cage, I cannot go higher than here. Rib cage. So already, we're beginning to make a picture frame of the area in which we can sight. The next thing we need to do is find the extent of the rectus abdominis muscle. And there's two ways that you can do this. The first is you can put your hands on the abdomen and you can ask the patient to cough. Could you cough, please? Could you cough again? And again. Relax. Thank you. So when the person coughs, the abdominal muscles tense. And so as they're coughing, you move your fingers and you will feel tense muscle, and then here and here on this side, it goes soft. So again, I'm going to mark the area with my tape. So I cannot sight wider than here. Or here. So do you see the principle that I'm doing? As we're progressing, we're narrowing where we can sight. Now, could you undo your trouser button, please, and just brilliant. So I'm not seeing any hernias. I'm not seeing any scars from previous surgery. But we've discerned the rectus abdominis muscle by coughing. I'm going to show you the other technique, which is to ask the patient to put their chin on their chest and lift their head off the bed. So could you do that? Okay. Relax. And that tenses the rectus abdominis muscle, and again, you feel hard, firm abdominal muscle, and then softness. So this is the border of the rectus abdominis muscle that we must sight within. Now, if you cough for me, I want to see if we've got any hernias at all. Okay, relax. I can't see anything visible there. So, we have worked out the parameters in which we can sight Felix. We're going to sight him for both an ileostomy and a colostomy. Now, textbooks tell us that to find the optimum sight for a patient, you feel the iliac crest and the abdomen, at the belly button, and 2/3 of the way up, that imaginary line is your sight. So I'm going to put the tape on the imaginary line. So this is where all of the textbooks tell you you should sight the patient. So we'll put one on that side and one on this side. So 2/3 is here. So we're going to put, this is where the textbooks tell us is the ideal place to site Felix for a colostomy. Now, yeah, okay, lying down like this looks a good site. Felix, because I want to see now if this is in the right place for you, could I ask you to swing your legs around and sit on the side of the bed, and let's look to see if we can see any creases. So in the sitting position, we can see already that the black optimal site mark has disappeared under a small roll of adipose tissue. So already we can see on sitting that the optimal mark that the textbook tells us has disappeared under a small roll of adipose tissue. So already we know that we need to change this site, okay? So Felix, I'm actually going to move the site upwards. Can you see that when you look down, Felix?
Yes.
Okay. If I put my finger like that, because obviously, yeah, you can see that point? Okay. So, already the site has been changed. Could you stand up for me now, Felix, on that spot? Okay, and when you look down, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Already, though, I'm thinking maybe we could go a little bit further up. Let's see what happens. If you bend right over for me. Yeah, so we have a crease here and a crease here. But actually, the area where the stoma is sited is flat. So we found the optimal site for the colostomy. Let's see, in theory, whether, if I move this mark to exactly opposite, can we always just do a mirror image? Is the abdomen always symmetrical? Could you sit on the end of the bed for me? Okay, now, I think a little bit too high. So could you stand for me? I'm going to move this. So what was perfect on this side actually is too high on this side. Can you see that mark?
Yes.
Okay, could you bend over for me? Okay, so we've got a pronounced crease through the umbilicus and we've got a pronounced skin crease underneath. Could you stand up again? Okay. So, this is the optimum site, or one of the optimum sites, depending on a patient, their lifestyle, the things that they do. Actually, you could then potentially move this. But for the purpose of this demonstration, we've sited within the rectus abdominis muscle. We've avoided the umbilicus. We've avoided midline incision. We've taken into account potential port sites, and we've come up with an optimum site. Now, we would site and actually mark on the skin. But for the purpose of siting, always either use a site marked on a piece of tape so you can move it, or one of the really handy blue filter covers that come with the Coloplast pouches. They're really good for moving around as well. So, if you'd like to sit down. Okay. I think that ends our demonstration. Thank you.